Hey guys, press the bell icon on the YouTube app and never miss another update from Pinkvilla.
The first time they met, Inaya was asleep and Taimur was very much awake and screaming. And I was worried he was going to wake her up, but she slept through it. And that was in her room, in her nursery. Then we took Inaya to meet Taimur in his nursery. And that's when they were both awake. And I think they looked at each other for the first time. And we tried to take a picture where, you know, there was Kareena holding Taimur and me holding Inaya. And we tried to get one picture where all of us are looking somewhat human and decent. And I don't think we could.
Hey guys, today is an exciting day because with us is Soha Ali Khan, best-selling author maybe? For sure.
Well, I hope so. At the moment it does say, when you go on Amazon, it says bestseller under my book. I don't know what that means. I think that means it's doing well in the ranks.
It's doing extremely well, for sure. So, you know, since we're talking about the book and, you know, you revealed yesterday at the launch that it was the publishing company that gave you the title and you know, had your book written around it.
Actually, no. The publishing company just gave me the opportunity. The title was all mine.
Oh, the title
I came up with the title.
Okay. What was the inspiration behind the title?
I just really like the sound of the word peril. I wanted, I think that it's quite perilous to be someone like me. My existence is, you know, something that I choose to laugh at. And I knew that I wanted to write something about being moderately famous. And I kept talking about, there's a particular national newspaper that comes up with a table of how famous you are every month.
Okay.
You know, and you see the top actors and top female actors. From 1 to 50, they rank you in terms of popularity.
Yeah.
And I've seen myself on that table. I think my personal best has been 15. You know, I don't know what I did that month. Maybe I got married or something. It was in the news. And then I dropped down to 49, I remember. And I was like, oh no. And then I think the next month I wasn't in the table also. And then I came back. I think I became pregnant or something. I was back in the table at 27. So it's, you know, it's funny because it goes up and down.
Yeah.
And I've always seen myself in the middle somewhere of that table. Never at the top. That's also within my family, which is obviously a family that is well known. Every time I meet people, they're either fans of my father, my mother, my brother. Now my nephew is the most famous person in the family. So what is it like to be someone like me, someone who's moderately famous, and, you know, again, the perils of being in that position.
Okay. Were there any apprehensions from your family side when you actually told? What was their reaction when you told them, okay guys, I'm writing a book?
I'm writing a book and expose. I'm going to expose it all. I think that my mother was very excited because she's always been pushing me to write a book. She's always said, you know, you write really well. I used to write her letters from university because I was in England, she was in India. I wrote some columns for various newspapers, all fiction, all non-fiction. And she said that you should write more, you should write a book. And I've always thought 50,000 words is like a lot, and deadlines, and will I be able to do that? She was very excited that I'd finally got down to it. My brother, when he read a couple of the chapters, I sent him a chapter on travel and one on love. And he called me, actually, he just I picked up the phone and he was just laughing. I was like, hello. And he said, what you've written is actually quite funny. And, you know, I'm enjoying it. I sent him a chapter also called All Roads Lead to Saifina. And it's about my interactions with the media and how every question becomes about them at the end of the day, and how frustrating that can be, but how I choose to laugh at it. That he was like, oh no, is it really like that? I'm so sorry. And I was like, well, no, it's not all bad as well. It's also great being your sister. And I've talked about that side as well. So on the whole, I don't think they were too worried because it's not you know, we don't have that many skeletons in our closet, and I've been quite circumspect with the information that I've shared.
So what was the process that you went through? Because the Pataudi legacy is immense, and although you guys are in the limelight, but at the same time there is that sense of privateness also. So how did you decide, okay, this is the chapters that I want, that I don't want, I want to exclude? How did you go about that?
You know, both my editors and my family have given me free rein. They said, you know, you write about things. I think they realize I'm a sensible person at the end of the day. I'm not looking to exploit anyone. I'm talking about it from my perspective. In fact, I get so nervous when anyone asks me anything about any other member of my family that's not related to me, because I understand it's their private life. They may not choose to share it with the media, and I become an easy target. Like, just because you can't ask them, you're asking me. So I very firmly, like, my opening line of my book is that if you want to learn about, you know, the secrets behind Kareena's glowing skin, or what Bhai meant when he talked about nepotism and eugenics, then this is not the book for you, because this book is about me. So only if you're interested in what it's like to be me, then you should buy this book. So I've been careful about what I've written.
What was Kunal's reaction to the book?
He actually read it as it was unfolding. I would write, I'd stay up all night writing 3,000 words, and I'd wake up in the morning and I would read it to him, and I would always look for his reaction. There's no particular target group also for this book, so I wanted to, often when you write a book as a girl, you feel like the audience is only girls, but this, I really feel like in the case of this book, that's not the way it is. Everyone from my mother who's in her mid-70s to Kunal who's in his early 30s, my brother who's in his 40s, I think there's something to take away from the book. I don't want to talk about it because I feel like the book should sell itself, and why would you buy it? I mean, of course I'm going to tell you to buy it, but presumably you're not going to buy it just because I'm telling you to buy it. Although I hope you do buy it because I'm telling you to buy it. I'm going to stop saying buy it. Just buy the book.
Buy it.
Buy it.
Who was the first one, besides you obviously since you wrote the book, who was the first one you made read the entire book?
My mother has read the book from cover to cover multiple times, and probably knows it, better than I do. And she has always been very good with constructive criticism. She likes hard copies, so I had to print it out and give it to her. And she writes in the margin and she sends it back to me, which would be so much easier if I could just email it to her and she would email it back to me. But it has to be sent to Delhi and all of that. And Kunal, of course, read it along the way, as I said. Every time I wrote a chapter, he would read it then and there, and he would give me his feedback, and really good feedback. And it's very useful because my family is not the kind of family that say, that Baba, first day, first show pe jaake aapki picture dekhte hai. They're not like that. They'll wait for the review. And my mother has a particular favorite newspaper. Only if that newspaper gives her a good review will she go and see it, no matter which of her children is in the film or any relative. And that's fine. I mean, we all appreciate that. So even with the book, everyone had really good constructive criticism, most of which I think I've absorbed.
Okay. So you, like you said, you welcomed a baby. We were just talking about it sometime, like how it's been 77 days since you slept.
Yes.
And counting.
Yes, and counting. 14 hours.
Your book, it starts with For My Daughter Inaya. So how has Inaya, like I know you must be asked this a lot of times, but still, like how has motherhood changed you as a person?
Completely. Like I can't think of one. Firstly, your body is no longer yours. What I eat, I eat for her. When I sleep is dictated by her. When I go out, what work I can do, what time I need to come home. I mean, she's completely in control of me. And as someone who's a control freak, who's always been in control of things, I'm completely helpless. And I have no idea what's going on anymore. It really challenges you, especially if you want to do any work or anything outside. Like now she'll be 3 months at the end of this month, and I've started to take on a little bit of work, for example promoting this book. We're shooting for Sai Baby Gangster, the third part, and that becomes difficult because everything revolves around her. So it has to be something very, very, very important to take me away from her, and that's not because of her. She can do without me. It's I can't do without her, and I want her to be, I want to be the first thing she sees in the morning and the last thing before she goes to bed at night. Not that she goes to bed at night, so as I said, it's very challenging. You become bipolar. I think every new mother is bipolar. You wake up in the morning and you're all happy and she smiles at you and you're all sunshine, and then she starts crying and you don't know why she's crying, and you're pulling out your hair and you're crying, and Kunal's like, do I look after her, do I look after you? Because she doesn't know why she's crying, but why are you crying? You're a grown woman. You stop crying. So there's a lot of crying as well at home.
So what are the changes that you've seen in Kunal ever since Anaya was born?
He I think it's very interesting when you see a young man become a father, and especially a father to a daughter, because I think they immediately think about their past sins and everything that they've done, and they're like, I hope my daughter doesn't meet someone like me when I was in my early 20s, So you can already see that change happening in him. He's already thinking to the future, when she's 18 and when she's 20, and like
lock her in the house.
Yeah, lock her in the house, and he's like, "Arey, there's so many people. Just this one has had a son, that one has had a son. We need to introduce her to some girls now. She needs to have some friends who are girls." And I was like, "She's like 2.5 months, But he's very hands-on. He's great with her. They say there's something about a father-daughter bond. I don't know. I had it with my father. So maybe it's true, it does exist, because, we're doing all the hard work as mothers. And then Inaya looks at him and just smiles. And I'm like, she never smiles at me when she looks at me like that. She never smiles like that when she looks at me. So they must share something special.
So besides you and Kunal, who from your family is the closest? I mean, has a bond with Anaya? They usually say that there is always another person that you automatically bond with, babies bond with?
Well,
Who would you say?
given that it's just Kunal and me at home, sadly we don't live with our families. My mother's in Delhi, Kunal's family also live far from us. So it's difficult to choose who that person will be. But everyone, adores her, everyone has held her, everyone has had a go at, trying to put her to sleep, singing her lullabies, and, all of us. Masti, who is the one person who's struggling, who's our little beagle, who's deciding whether she likes Anaya or not. And I think she does, but she's a little bit jealous of her. I hope she's not watching right now. But she's a little bit jealous of her. So we're trying to get them to get to know each other a little bit better.
So speaking of another baby Khan, how is the relationship between Anaya and Taimur?
How does one answer that question? She's 2.5 months and he's going to turn 1. So they don't, of course, the first time they met, Inaya was asleep and Taimur was very much awake and screaming. And I was worried he was going to wake her up, but she slept through it. And that was in her room, in her nursery. Then we took Inaya to meet Taimur in his nursery. And that's when they were both awake, and I think they looked at each other for the first time. And we tried to take a picture where, there was Kareena holding Taimur and me holding Inaya, and we tried to get one picture where all of us are looking somewhat human and decent. And I don't think we could. We have one picture where Inaya is looking somewhere else, but at least the rest of us are looking normal. So it's difficult with babies, but they're still coming into their own. I think when she's a little bit older, maybe her first birthday is when they'll be able to interact a little bit more.
Okay. So again, since you also now have a star kid, do you think even the first photos, even before when you guys posted the first photo, the media went crazy, and right now star kids are just as famous as their parents.
Yeah, perhaps
do you
more.
think in a way that it's too extreme sometimes, the attention that star kids get?
One thing as parents, just as people, one is very concerned about with children is that even when we take pictures of Inaya at home, we make sure that the flash is not on. We make sure, obviously, that that she's safe. And the only concern is when you go out in the public, or you're walking into the airport, or you're walking anywhere with your child, is that with all the flashes going off, the child gets a little disturbed, might get scared. It's not good for their eyesight, etc. And with the media, certainly, in the case of big celebrities and their children, it can be a little bit of a stampede situation, and you don't want anyone to get hurt. Number one, and then of course comes the fact that you don't want to expose your child to that kind of media attention. You don't necessarily want pictures of your child being seen by everyone in their household, and people commenting, how do they look and who do they look like, etc. People, I don't know if I do or not, but you talk about nazar nahi lagni chahiye, etc. So we still follow that a lot in our culture. So that's why I think people are a little apprehensive about too much media exposure.
Okay. So since you already have your book out, I wanted to ask you, what would you title, from your family members, what would the title of their autobiography books be according to you?
Oh God.
So first is Kunal.
That's very difficult. In fact, yesterday Bhai was talking about the fact that how if my mother was going to write a book, a biography on my brother, it would be called Oh Saif, because of all the times he's got into trouble. So I think certainly for Bhai, because that comes to mind and is easiest, it would be Oh Saif. And there would be one chapter in it called 5 minutes, because every time you go to his house and you try and leave, he's just like 5 minutes, just 5 more minutes, just 5 minutes. So one chapter would be called 5 minutes. So yes, Oh Saif.
What about Kareena?
Kareena, if I was to write a book on her, I would call it by how I call her when I write birthday cards to her. I would say, Bebo Bhabi.
Nice.
And nobody would buy this book ever.
What about Sharmila ma'am?
God, it's very difficult to think about my mom, but there's a book on my father called Tiger's Tale. So I think it would follow then that hers should be The Tigress. This is also rubbish. I'm very bad at this game. None of these have just the Perils of being moderately famous. Let's just talk about that title. These books are never going to happen.
So now I'm going to ask you a few secrets about your family, which you may or may not reveal.
Want to reveal? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's most likely to.
Okay.
So who is most likely to cook a bad meal?
Am I included in this?
No.
Oh, okay, great. I would say I actually don't know the truth. I've never tried Kareena's cooking.
Okay.
But I have had, especially post-chef, Bhai's actually done a lot of classes. And he actually makes really good spaghetti. Kunal can make, a number of dishes, and he's very self-sufficient that way. My sister can cook and my mother can cook. So that leaves Kareena and me. And if I'm not included in this, then that leaves Kareena. So I'm going to say Kareena.
Most likely to laugh in a serious situation.
My brother, for sure. 100%. He'll most likely make you laugh also in the most inappropriate occasion, which he's done many times.
Most likely to be late for a family gathering.
Given the launch yesterday, Kareena was the latest, but I was expecting Bhai to come late because he's usually, I think, likes to make an entrance. Or just doesn't have good time management.
Most likely to zone out of a family conversation.
Probably, depending on who's talking, everyone is zoning out. I think it's a family of actors where everyone likes to talk and nobody likes to listen. That's the problem with belonging to a family of actors. Everybody is talking and everybody is zoning out and thinking, so you're talking at each other more than talking to each other most of the time.
Most likely to give you the juiciest conversations.
What do you think? I would say Kareena, because she knows everything that is happening. I don't know, she's on some group chats where everyone knows, and it's very reliable information. Comes out in the newspaper much later, or on social media much. She's like, I knew that, of course I knew that. I was like, how do you know all this? So yeah, definitely Kareena.
Most likely to lose their way even after using Google Maps.
Well, I'm very bad at reading the map. I would say I should use my mother also.
Yeah.
She can't, obviously she's not very good with technology, and she's from a different generation. But I don't think she was good with physical maps also. So online maps, forget about it.
Most likely to cry after seeing a movie.
It depends on sometimes you cry after seeing your own movies and you're like, wow. I've actually walked in on my mother at 8 in the morning when she was staying with me in my old flat, and she was watching Amar Prem, and she was watching herself crying, and she was crying watching herself crying, and I was like, this is so bizarre. And she was like, oh, it's such a sad movie. And I was like, yeah, okay. So perhaps my mother.
And the last one is, obviously you're not in this, but most likely to start writing a book and never finish it.
I would say again my brother.
Osef.
Yeah, Osef. He has many books in him, and he really should write. The problem is seeing it through to the end, because he'll start and wonder if he'll finish.
So now that we're done and we've gotten all the secrets that we need to get,
Sure.
we can get some more secrets, right? How?
Just call me and I won't answer. Read the book. Yes, read my book. If you want to know all the dirty family secrets, then you won't find them in this book, but still you'll find hopefully what is a light, entertaining, breezy read, and it's called The Perils of Being Moderately Famous, and it's available now. You can buy it now on Amazon or in bookstores, and it's I believe that they change the rankings every hour. So currently it's best selling. Maybe next hour it won't at 5 o'clock. So do buy it. And if you've enjoyed this chat, then do like, share, comment and subscribe to Pinkvilla.